Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really glad you're here with us. Let me start by asking you a question.
Go for it.
When I say the words English grammar rules and tenses, what is the first thing you feel?
Oof. Panic.
Right. If you're like most people, there's a good chance your stomach just dropped a little bit. You might be having flashbacks to sitting at a school desk staring at a giant, heavy textbook.
Feeling completely overwhelmed by endless lists of conjugations.
Yes, and the exceptions to the rules and red pen marks all over your papers. It is a very visceral, very relatable struggle.
It absolutely is. I mean, that feeling of hitting a wall when trying to master a language is practically universal.
Totally.
The frustrating part is that you feel like you're doing everything right. You spend hours staring at those rules, trying to burn them into your brain, but the very second you try to actually speak or write in a real-world scenario,
It all just evaporates.
exactly, it just vanishes.
You open your mouth and your mind just goes totally blank. And that exact frustration is what we're tackling today. We have a fantastic stack of notes in front of us, drawn from a highly insightful framework titled Effective Approaches to Mastering English Grammar Naturally.
It's a great read.
It really is. The mission for this deep dive is simple but powerful. We want to help you shortcut that immense frustration of traditional rote memorization. We're going to explore how you can totally transform your relationship with language through a playful, experiential approach called natural grammar acquisition.
Which is such a game changer.
It is. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, you are in the perfect place. Okay, let's unpack this. Why is the old way of learning grammar so fundamentally broken? Because clearly it's not working for a lot of us.
To really understand that, we have to look closely at how the human brain actually retains and processes information. Traditional rote learning, which means staring at flashcards or trying to memorize conjugation tables, it fails because it completely divorces the language from reality.
Right, it's just abstract.
Completely abstract. Memorization without context only ever leads to temporary retention and, honestly, deep frustration.
So you mean you hold on to a rule just long enough to pass a Tuesday morning quiz, and by Wednesday, it's gone?
Precisely. It never actually anchors into your long-term memory because your brain hasn't been given a reason to care about it. But when we look at experiential methods, which is the core of natural grammar acquisition, we see totally different cognitive process.
How so?
Immersive practice is highly similar to how children naturally acquire their first language. It fosters lasting understanding and real confidence because the brain is building neural pathways based on actual communication, not abstract formulas.
That makes so much sense. Children don't sit around studying the past perfect continuous tense before they ask their parents for a snack.
Haha, no, they definitely do not.
They just start interacting, making sounds, and adjusting based on the feedback they get. So how do we replicate that as adults? Looking through our notes, strategy one isn't even about verbs or nouns. It's entirely about a mindset shift. We have to actively replace fear with curiosity and stop viewing grammar as this massive barrier.
The psychological context of adult learning is crucial here. As adults, we carry a lot of ego and anxiety into the learning process. When you approach grammar with fear, the fear of sounding foolish, the fear of making a public mistake, those negative perceptions actively hinder your progress.
Because you're just tense.
Exactly. The goal has to be communication over perfection.
Which brings up the playground analogy from the framework. I love this. Instead of viewing grammar as a minefield where one wrong step causes an explosion, think of it as a playground for ideas.
A playground, yes.
You just recognize your past struggles, like, okay, I used to be confused by tenses, and you decide to start fresh without self-judgment. You're just playing.
And a great practical tip to help anchor this mindset is a daily affirmation from the text. Before you even look at a single English word, you just tell yourself, grammar helps me share my thoughts clearly.
Grammar helps me share my thoughts clearly. It reframes it from a trap into a tool.
That subtle shift prepares the brain to actually learn.
Okay, so let's say I've adopted this playground mindset. I'm ready to play, and I'm not afraid of making a few errors. But where do I actually start without immediately overwhelming myself? Because English grammar is huge. Moving to strategy two, our notes point heavily toward learning incrementally with a daily focus to avoid burnout.
What's fascinating here is the cognitive reasoning behind this incremental approach. Overloading your brain with information guarantees forgetfulness. If you try to learn 5 different verb tenses in one afternoon, the cognitive load is simply too high.
You end up dropping all the juggling balls.
Right. But taking small, consistent steps ensures deep absorption.
The framework provides incredibly concrete examples of taking it one tense at a time. So first, You master the present simple with daily routines. As you go about your day, you think, I drink tea every morning.
Or you observe someone and think, she walks to school.
Exactly. You live entirely in the present simple until it feels like second nature. Only then do you progress to the past simple.
And you apply the exact same method. You reflect on what already happened. Yesterday, I visited the market and bought fruits.
You're only ever juggling one new concept at a time. And there's a specific tip from the text to make sure this remains manageable for you, the listener. Limit these sessions to just 15 to 20 minutes a day, using simple notebooks to track your progress.
Consistency beats intensity. Those 15 focus minutes will yield vastly better results than a frantic 3-hour cram session.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Strategy 3 is about the power of self-narration and personal context. We aren't just writing random sentences in those notebooks. We need to connect the grammar to personal experiences through self-narration and storytelling.
This is where the magic happens. Putting grammar into a real-world context reinforces memory and makes highly abstract concepts feel tangible.
Right, because if I memorize a textbook sentence like, the snow falls softly on the cabin, but I live in a hot climate, my brain discards it. It's useless to my actual life.
Exactly. You haven't given your brain any contextual hook.
To fix that, the source suggests narrating your actual day. I woke up early, prepared breakfast, and went for a walk in the park. Or creating short stories about real events like, my friends came over, we talked about movies and laughed.
You're creating emotional hooks. And the tip here is to incorporate local, familiar elements to deeply personalize the practice. The source gives a great example of this. In Karachi, people enjoy chai in the evenings.
I love how specific that is. By localizing the practice, you bridge the gap between English as a dry subject and English as a living medium to express your reality.
It becomes yours.
Moving on to strategy 4. What about the really dry stuff? Nouns, verbs, adverbs. Usually, these are just boring lists. But the strategy here is gamifying the parts of speech. Treat them as interactive components.
Gamification is an incredibly powerful tool. It simplifies complex structures and promotes highly creative usage. You're playing with pieces of a linguistic puzzle.
There is a fun sentence-building exercise from the source to demonstrate this gamification. The example is, oh, the colorful bird flew over the river and sang sweetly.
Let's actually deconstruct that. You have an interjection with, oh, an adjective with colorful modifying the noun bird. The verb flew connected by the preposition over to the noun river.
And then the conjunction and leading to the verb saying, modified by the adverb sweetly.
It's a complete complex structure disguised as a playful observation.
It really is a game, and there's a challenge here for you. Turn this into a daily game by trying to include all 8 parts of speech in just one single paragraph.
It forces you to be intentional and actively construct meaning.
But let's be real. When you build these sentences, you are going to mess up. Which brings us to strategy 5 and the additional strategies, embracing mistakes and active repetition.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the playground mindset, avoiding mistakes actually stalls your growth. Errors show you exactly what to fix.
The notes offer great immersion tactics. First, self-correcting during your self-talk. If you realize you thought, I go to market, you adjusted on the fly too, I went to the market.
That builds automaticity. And spaced, active repetition combats forgetting.
Another tactic is watching subtitled videos and mimicking the lines to grasp the natural flow. Or writing weekly summaries by rewriting a single day's events using multiple different tenses.
Which is a great mental workout.
And simply listening to podcasts and noting grammar in action. But the expert source also addresses the common hurdles. If you're bored, integrate games and storytelling.
If you lack confidence, start your practice privately before sharing with others. Persistence is key.
The initial discomfort fades. Keep a positive attitude, smile at your slip-ups, and review them weekly. Setting clear milestones is vital, like aiming for comfortable tense usage in 1 month.
It gives your practice definitive purpose.
So we've covered a lot. Treating grammar as a playground, using 15 to 20-minute incremental focus, self-narrating, and playfully embracing mistakes. So what does this all mean?
It means these natural techniques lead directly to confident expression, drastically reduced errors, and ultimately effective communication in diverse, real-world settings. We strongly encourage you to actively implement these methods to overcome your own grammar hurdles.
It puts the joy back into the process.
It does. What stands out to you in these strategies?
We hope you take that notebook out today and give it a try. Thank you for joining this deep dive. Keep exploring.
And as we sign off, a final thought to mull over. If treating grammar like a playground and giving yourself permission to make mistakes is the secret to mastering a new language natively, what other complex adult skills could you master right now simply by letting go of the rules and allowing yourself to play like a beginner again?